everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you a showcase shortly of my long-running Wars of the Roses project. It's been a long project that really started pre the pandemic, but really took on sort of foremost in my mind and getting started with it with the launch of the original Bill Hooks, never mind the Bill Hooks game, which was a free set of rules from Andy Callan in Wargames Illustrated. And as we are probably all aware, those that play it, there's a new version, a deluxe version, just been released. And I have actually only just finished my project this weekend. I've been frantically trying to get my last couple of units finished. The reason the project's taken so long are a number of things really. Normal life getting in the way. 28mm is not a scale I normally collect or paint, and so that's proved interesting. I have really enjoyed doing them. They've been a really nice palette cleanser from the smaller scales. I've made quite a few mistakes over the period in terms of purchases, basing, painting, etc. Things that I've had to kind of undo or correct, and yeah, it's been interesting, but I've learned a lot, and overall I'm pleased with the outcome. I say it's not anything like some of the things that you will see elsewhere on YouTube from other wargamers, but it's my humble approach to putting together a Wars of the Roses force, in this case sufficient to allow you a game between two forces, which is how the project began really. It was something I fancied doing. No one else in the club had really expressed any interest, and I knew I had a lot of Perry plastic boxes that I'd bought when they were launched, and I thought, well, they're sitting there collecting dust, let's get started and do something with them. But subsequently we've had a couple of games, been great fun. I think it's one we will definitely get out from time to time. Some clever nuances in the rules, and yeah, if you watch my other video, I give you an overview, my views on the base system, not the deluxe version, because I haven't got that as yet. But certainly the original rules, which will give you a good feel for how they work, and how it fits in. Lots of flavour in there, lots of friction in there, and importantly, it's a lot of fun. One thing that I haven't covered in the video was my approach to basing, and I thought I'd just pick that up separately to show you what I've used. So I've used MDF bases, and if I can find the box, I've used brown battleground, initially with PVA glue as the base. I've then put some steppe grass from the battlefield with wet PVA over the top, some battlefield rocks interspersed on the bases, and then finished off with a mix of these gamer's grass wildflowers. So I bought white and yellow, and I've also got some standard sort of green tufts as well. So that's how I've done my bases. One tip, actually when I started playing this and doing this with my brother, one point he did make, which I thought was very valid, and I wish in some ways I'd done now, was to have used white flowers for one side and red flowers for another side, which would have made it a bit more distinguishable who was on what side. But I've gone more generic, and I'm quite pleased with the yellow and white. I think they look really effective, and they break the bases up quite nicely as well. But anyway, that's my views. Hope you enjoy the rest of the video. Let's show you my showcase. So we'll start with some of the commanders. As I say, I can't claim to have painted a lot of these. I bought them pre-painted and then based them and fitted them into these war bases, slaughter bases, because I was mainly building forces for Nevermind the Billhooks, and I wanted a 3-person command, a leader, a champion and a standard bearer. That's why I bought these particular Sabbat bases, which I quite like actually, and I've tried to cover them in similar basing material to the main bases. The beauty of these is that they can be taken out, as you can see. If you so wish, you could have them, if you're playing a different game, deployed separately, or of course you can have them in the Sabbats if you wish as well. So that's the first of 7 that I've got. These are Yorkist commands, as you can tell from the flags, and I think this one is Clarence, if I remember rightly. I do get confused with who's what, but that one I believe is Clarence. It may even be Edward, but I think it's Clarence, Duke of Clarence. If we move along to the next one, this one is Edward's command. It's a similar thing again. These are lovely figures, basing the same. And then we've got another one there, which is Gloucester. So they are the 3 Yorkist commanders that I have. I've purely by accident picked up 4 Lancastrian ones. We've got Devon, Falkenberg, Clifford and Pembroke. No particular reason for the particular generals of either side. At the time when I was just starting out, these were the figures that I found which I thought I loved, and I thought, well, I'll just build my generic forces around these. The game itself is not too serious. It's not designed to be historically 100% accurate, and of course with Wars of the Roses, units fought on both sides. They changed sides. Colours were really pretty much unknown, although there is some heraldry detail available out there. Of course no one knows for definite, so you could pretty much build your armies as you wish and intermix them, and that's what I wanted to do. Add a bit of flexibility, because at the time the guys in the club weren't collecting these, and this was something I wanted to build to introduce to the club at a later date. As I say, this was a project started, well, purchased pre-COVID in terms of the Perry box sets, and in the back of my mind it was something I was going to do, but never got around to doing it. When the pandemic hit, and then the launch of Nevermind the Billhooks, that sort of spurred me into action, and I started painting, putting together my kits. Bought some units online, made some mistakes. Some of them were shockingly painted by my very poor standards, and so I ended up spending an awful lot of time patching them up, rebasing them, putting them into colours that I was happy with, getting them to a Wargame standard. There were others that I did myself, and then I kind of based them, wasn't happy with the basing. Originally, as per these commanders, I'd put everything onto slaughter bases with the view that I would be able to do casualty removal as per the Billhooks rules. But having done that, I went full circle and went back to larger bases with fixed figures and using markers for casualties. I just find them much easier to transport, to move on the table. They don't keep falling over. Slaughter bases by nature are very light, so unless you started putting magnets underneath, then your cost starts increasing as well. So other than the command, which I didn't want to mess around with because the figures are perfect, and I was quite happy with the command bases being that little bit bigger maybe, the units themselves were all based on MDF. So I'm going to start off with my bread and butter troops. Again, these are mainly Billman and Archer units. I've got 3 units of Billman, and I've put them in a block, those particular ones, with some of my Archers. I've got 3 big units of Archers. So 3 units of each. They're my kind of starting point for my bread and butter. And then at the back I've got my main hitting troops, which are my men at arms on foot. I've got 2 units of those. It's very seldom you get more than 1 unit on a side in bill hooks because they are quite expensive. They're a luxury unit, as are my mounted knights. And again, I decided not to go with banners and things on these ones because I'd only got 1 figure actually that had a lance, and I'd put the figures together, painted them up, and then suddenly thought, oh, what about the banners? Made a bit of a rookie mistake, and now they just don't look right. So I've not bothered. And that way, again, they can be used to represent a unit on either side in any game. I've then just finished painting up some skirers, light cavalry. These were again ones I bought on eBay. I was really disappointed with them. Pretty much they've had a complete repaint job, and again I'm quite happy with those in terms of how they've come out. But I think again, by nature of the type of troops they were, they wouldn't necessarily be carrying banners and things with them, so I've left them as they are. Then again, just finished a pike block. Again, these were troops I'd purchased. Really disappointed with the paint job. They weren't actually painted in the colours I wanted. I wanted these to represent Jasper Tudor, and so I had to kind of repaint them completely, really. So again, I've learned a lot through this project. I've probably wasted an awful lot of time having to repaint things, which probably taken longer than if I just painted them myself to start with. Rebasing has taken a lot longer, so this whole project has probably taken nigh on 2.5 years, and a lot of soul searching and patience at times, purely because I've made a few mistakes. But you know, that's what you learn from, and obviously next time you do a big project, hopefully you won't make those mistakes. We've got a cannon. So again, I've based mine up an individual stand here with my individual crew members. Again, Bill Hooks has 3 crew, but the gun itself came with 4 in the set, and I just like the fact there's 4 crew. So who's to say I can't have 4 crew? But they can only take 3 casualties before they're out of action in a game. But I, again, like the way that works. We've got a few little odd extra Archer units here, but there's not enough there for a Bill Hooks unit, but I can combine them with other things to break them up into skirmishes, etc. in different games. So they're again just an added addition. And then I had some sort of thoughts to make around how I would base up my skirmish troops. So these are Irish kerns, metals. I decided with my skirmish stands to stick similarly to the main troops, but just add a bit of flexibility for casualty removal in there for these particular. So you have 6 figures to a unit. I've done 2 bases as you can see there, with 2 figures on and then single bases either side. And when you look over the top, they look like a line, but you've got the ability to remove casualties with those as you see fit. And I was quite pleased with how they came out. I think they look quite good in that kind of formation, but of course you can break them up, spread them out however you want them, but I like them like that. And I've done some Burgundian gunners. Again, these were all ones I painted myself, quite pleased with those. And likewise some Burgundian crossbowmen, some with Pavises, so I've got the option of paying the points to have those in the game if I so wish. That's what we've done there. So that's basically an overview of my Wars of the Roses 2.5 year project. This is only my second 28mm project that I've ever done, because my American Civil War were my first one, and really we just don't play many large scales 28mm in the club other than the odd skirmish such as samurai or open combat, a bit of sharp practice, that sort of thing, but nothing mainstream. And yeah, it's nowhere near to the level or quality that you see on some videos on YouTube. Some fantastic War of the Roses projects out there. I'd urge you to go and look at places like Seventh Son. Absolutely amazing painting, amazing artwork projects, etc. But this is mine, and I just wanted to share it with you. And as I say, the idea for mine was to be very generic, so I can mix and match up commands depending on the game I'm trying to set up or play. And it means that both sides can always have a suitable number of troops to play. Since then, my brother's actually collected a force as well, and he has picked mainly Lancastrians, so a lot of these chaps, other than the obvious ones, will probably be seconded into the Yorkists for future battles. But again, it gives me an option if my brother's perhaps not available on an evening and I want to lay on a game, that I have got enough to put on a game for both sides. But there we go. So hope you've enjoyed my showcase, and see you again next time.